Humanity's Vengeful Strike Amazes the Galactic Council. Part 1. The Invasion. The morning began like any other at the outer colony of New Horizon, nestled on the edge of the Andromeda sector. Hyun Park watched the sunrise from the observation deck, his weathered hands gripping a steaming cup of coffee. The colony was home to nearly 10,000 settlers, farmers, scientists, engineers, and their families who had left Earth seeking a fresh start among the stars. No one expected the attack. The first warning came as a distant rumble, barely noticeable at first. Hyun's military training from years ago kicked in before anyone else realized the danger. The sky, usually a soft blue-green, suddenly erupted in a violent cascade of crimson and orange. Massive alien ships, sleek, predatory, and utterly alien, began their systematic destruction. Families ran. Children screamed. The colony's defense systems, state-of-the-art just months ago, crumbled like paper against the overwhelming firepower of the Veran Dominion. Hyun watched in horror as entire residential blocks disappeared in massive explosions, lives erased in an instant. He remembered the stories his grandfather used to tell, tales of human resilience, of standing up when the world seemed hopeless. Those weren't just stories. They were a blueprint for survival. In the chaos, Hyun made a decision that would change everything. While others fled or panicked, he began collecting critical data, communication logs, ship movement patterns, weapon signatures. Every scrap of information became a potential weapon. The colonists saw a middle-aged man with graying hair. What they didn't see was a strategist preparing humanity's revenge. The attack wasn't just about destruction. The Veran Dominion wanted to send a message. Humans were nothing more than insects, to be crushed. They believed their technological superiority made them invincible. They believed humans would break, would submit. They were wrong. As the last shuttles escaped the burning colony, Hyun made sure a piece of New Horizon would survive. A small data crystal, no larger than a human thumb, contained everything. Coordinates, attack patterns, technological vulnerabilities, a complete blueprint of the Veran's supposed invincibility. Hours later, as the rescue ships gathered survivors, Hyun sat quietly. His eyes weren't filled with grief or anger, but with a cold, calculating determination. The other survivors saw a man who had lost everything, but inside, a plan was forming, a plan that would make the Veran Dominion regret ever attacking humanity. The colony of New Horizon was gone, but its memory would become a spark that would ignite humanity's most remarkable response in galactic history. Around him, survivors whispered stories of loss. Children clutched worn teddy bears. Adults stared blankly into space. But Hyun knew something they didn't. This wasn't the end. This was just the beginning. The Veran thought they were hunting a weak, scattered species. They didn't understand that every attack only made humans more dangerous. Every life lost became a reason to fight harder, to think smarter, to become something the aliens could never comprehend. As the rescue ship moved away from the burning remains of New Horizon, Hyun Park allowed himself a small, determined smile. The first chapter of humanity's revenge was about to be written. No one would write humanity's obituary, not today, not ever. The stars outside seemed to pulse with a promise of something coming, something the Veran Dominion would never see coming. Would you like me to continue with this approach for the remaining parts of the story? Humanity's Vengeful Strike Amazes the Galactic Council. Part 2. Strategic Preparation. The underground research facility beneath the Gobi Desert looked like nothing special from the outside, just another military installation surrounded by endless sand and rocky terrain. But inside, something extraordinary was brewing. Jae Kim hadn't slept in days. His desk was a chaos of holographic displays, technical schematics, and half-empty coffee mugs. Around him, the best minds humanity could gather worked with a single purpose: turning the devastating Veran attack into an opportunity. "We're not just building weapons," Jay would tell his team. "We're building hope." The data from New Horizon's destruction became their most precious resource. Every fragment of information was a potential weakness, every burned circuit a chance to understand the enemy. The Veran believed their technology was unbeatable. Jay and his team were about to prove them wrong. In the next room, engineers were doing something unprecedented. They weren't just reverse engineering alien technology, they were reimagining it. Traditional military thinking suggested matching the enemy's firepower. But Jay's team understood something deeper. True victory comes from understanding, not just fighting. Young researchers worked alongside veterans who had seen previous conflicts. A woman who lost her brother in the initial attack now designed quantum communication disruptors. A former pilot transformed data about alien ship movements into predictive algorithms. Each person carried a personal reason to fight. The facility buzzed with an energy that was part desperation, part incredible. Human creativity. They were creating something the Varen could never comprehend. Weapons that weren't just about destruction, but about precise strategic intervention. Jay's most innovative team was developing what they called digital ghosts, systems that could infiltrate alien networks without leaving a trace. Imagine a weapon that could make entire battleships go blind, silent, completely disconnected, all without firing a single physical shot. "We're not just fighting," Jay would remind his exhausted team. "We're protecting everything we've ever known." Outside the facility, the world continued spinning. Most people had no idea about the incredible work happening underground. Governments maintained a careful silence, knowing that hope was their most powerful weapon right now. The Varen had attacked thinking humans were predictable. They didn't understand that unpredictability was humanity's greatest strength. Every failed experiment, every late night, every moment of frustration was bringing them closer to a solution that would shock the entire galaxy. Prototype systems began taking shape. Holographic displays showed complex networks that looked more like living organisms than traditional computer systems. These weren't just machines, they were extensions of human creativity and determination. One researcher, a quiet woman named Yoon, developed a breakthrough in quantum entanglement that could potentially disable entire alien communication networks. Her inspiration? A childhood memory of watching her grandmother repair complex machinery with nothing more than patience and creativity. The team knew their work was more than just technical. It was personal. Every line of code, every circuit design carried the memory of those lost in the initial attack. They weren't just engineers and scientists anymore. They were humanity's last line of defense. As weeks turned into months, something remarkable started happening. The impossible began looking possible. The unimaginable started taking shape. The Varen thought they were hunting a weak species. They had no idea they were about to face something they could never understand. Human resilience, human creativity, and an unbreakable spirit that refused to be conquered. In the heart of the Gobi Desert, humanity's revenge was being carefully, meticulously prepared, one line of code at a time. Would you like me to continue with this narrative style for the remaining parts of the story? Humanity's vengeful strike amazes the Galactic Council. Part 3. The Infiltration. The small transport ship looked like nothing special. Just another routine cargo vessel drifting through the outer rim of the Varen-controlled space. Inside, Sukli and her team prepared for the most dangerous mission in human history. They weren't soldiers in the traditional sense. Each team member was a carefully selected specialist, part infiltrator, part ghost, part technological wizard. Years of training had prepared them for this moment. Their bodies bore subtle modifications that made them more than human, but not quite machines. Suk checked her equipment one last time. A small neural interface behind her ear connected her directly to the most advanced computer systems humanity had ever created. Her eyes, enhanced with microscopic quantum sensors, could see technological patterns invisible to normal human perception. The team's mission was simple in concept, impossible in execution: infiltrate the heart of the Varen fleet and disable their entire communication and navigation systems without leaving a trace. "We're not just a strike team," Suk had told her team during their final briefing. "We're the last hope for everyone we've left behind." Each member carried a piece of home, a photograph, a small memento, a reminder of why they were risking everything. These weren't just soldiers. They were daughters, sons, brothers, and sisters who had lost everything in the initial attack. The Varan ship they were approaching was massive. a technological marvel that represented the pinnacle of alien engineering. Its hull gleamed with an almost living quality, sensors constantly scanning the surrounding space for any potential threat. But they didn't know about humans. Suk's team moved with a precision that defied traditional understanding of stealth. They weren't just avoiding detection, they were becoming part of the ship's own technological ecosystem. Each movement was calculated, each breath controlled. Their first point of entry was through a maintenance conduit that most standard scanning systems would completely overlook. Quantum adaptive camouflage made them virtually invisible, their body temperatures and electromagnetic signatures matching the ship's background noise. Inside the massive vessel, the world was a complex network of technological arteries. Alien technology surrounded them, pulsing with energy, complex beyond human understanding. But Suk's team saw something different. They saw vulnerabilities. Hours turned into days. Their progress was measured in microscopic advances. One system compromised, another network mapped, each small victory bringing them closer to a complete shutdown. The alien crew continued their routine, completely unaware that humanity's most sophisticated infiltration team was slowly eating away at their technological heart. What made their mission unique wasn't just their technological skill, it was their human adaptability. Where traditional systems followed rigid protocols, Suk's team could think, improvise, make split-second decisions that no computer could predict. They weren't just fighting. They were telling a story of human survival, of pushing beyond known limitations. As they moved deeper into the ship's systems, something extraordinary happened. The very technology designed to protect the Varen became their ultimate weakness. Each defensive system was another pathway for human creativity to exploit. Suk remembered the stories of her grandfather, how humans had always found ways to survive, to overcome impossible odds. This mission was just another chapter in that endless story of human resilience. The ship around them began to change, subtle at first, a communication relay going silent, a navigation subsystem flickering, small signs that something was fundamentally wrong. Humanity's revenge was no longer a plan. It was becoming a reality, and the Varen had no idea what was coming. Would you like me to continue with this narrative approach for the remaining parts of the story? Humanity's vengeful strike amazes the Galactic Council. Part 4. The Decisive. Strike the galaxy held its breath. Millions of kilometers away from Earth, the Varen fleet stretched across space like a metallic nightmare. Thousands of ships, each one believed to be invincible, each one carrying the arrogance of a species that thought it had mastered the universe. They didn't know they were already dead. Hyun Park watched from the command center, his fingers hovering over a single holographic interface. Around him, veteran commanders and young technical specialists waited with attention that could cut through steel. The first signs were subtle. A communication relay went dark, then another. Then entire battle groups began losing coordination. The Varan commander started shouting, first in confusion, then in pure panic. Their mistake had been simple. They thought technology was about power. Humans knew technology was about connection. Suk Lee's infiltration team had done more than just disable systems. They had transformed the Varan's own technology into a weapon against itself. Each alien ship was now a potential carrier of total system failure. Imagine a body where the brain suddenly stops talking to the heart. That was happening to the entire Varen fleet. Massive battleships, each one larger than entire human cities, began drifting. Weapon systems powered down. Navigation computers went completely silent. What had been a terrifying invasion force was now nothing more than floating metal coffins. The human strategy wasn't about destruction. It was about complete, systematic neutralization. "We're not murderers," Hyun whispered to himself. "We're survivors. Every lost colony, every destroyed family, every moment of pain from the initial invasion, they were all represented in this single calculated strike. Young technicians who had lost parents in the initial attack watched their screens with a mixture of revenge and professional precision. This wasn't emotional. This was surgical. The Varen communication channels erupted in chaos. Panic replaced their previous arrogance. Commanders screamed orders into systems that no longer responded. Their technological superiority had become their ultimate weakness. What made humans unique wasn't just their technology, it was their ability to adapt, to think beyond traditional limitations. Where alien systems followed rigid protocols, human creativity found unexpected pathways. One by one, Viren ships went dark, not destroyed, not blown apart, simply neutralized, floating tombstones of a civilization that had made a fatal mistake. They had underestimated humanity. The strike wasn't just a military operation, it was a message, a declaration that humans would not be conquered, that every attack would be met with a response more intelligent, more precise than the original threat. Hyun remembered the colony of New Horizon, the families destroyed, the children lost. This moment was for them. As the last Varen ship went silent, a strange calm descended over the human command center. No cheering, no wild celebrations, just a deep, profound sense of justice accomplished. They had done what no species had ever done before. They had defeated a technologically superior enemy, not through brute force, but through pure human innovation. The galaxy would never be the same again. Humanity had arrived, and they were here to stay. Would you like me to continue with the final part of the story? Humanity's vengeful strike amazes the Galactic Council. Part 5. Aftermath and Recognition. The Galactic Council chamber was silent. Representatives from hundreds of alien civilizations sat frozen, their various appendages and sensory organs processing what had just happened. Hyun Park stood at the center of the massive circular room, wearing a simple uniform that carried the weight of an entire species' survival. He wasn't a politician, he wasn't a decorated military hero, he was a survivor, a representative of humanity's unbreakable spirit. The holographic displays around the chamber showed the complete neutralization of the Varen fleet, not destroyed, but completely disconnected. It was a demonstration of power that went beyond traditional warfare. "We didn't come here to seek revenge," Hyun spoke, his voice calm and measured. "We came to ensure our survival." Alien representatives exchanged uncomfortable glances. Some species had watched the Varen attack human colonies, believing humans were just another weak civilization to be conquered. Now, they realized their fatal mistake. The Triloxian representative, a crystalline being that communicated through complex light patterns, was the first to break the silence. Its translucent form flickered with what could only be described as respect. "Humans have demonstrated a level of technological adaptation we have never witnessed," the being communicated. Its words appeared as shimmering text in the universal translation system. Sukli, who had led the infiltration team, stood quietly beside Hyun. Her eyes told a story of loss, of survival, of hope. She wasn't celebrating. She was remembering every life lost in the initial invasion. The Council's historical records would show this moment as a turning point. Humanity was no longer a species to be overlooked. They were now a major galactic power. What made their achievement extraordinary wasn't just the technological victory. It was the underlying human quality. The ability to transform pain into innovation, destruction into opportunity. Young humans watching the broadcast around various colonies felt something shift. This wasn't just a military victory, this was a promise that they would never be victims again. The Varen technology, once considered unbeatable, now became a case study in vulnerability. Human researchers would spend years understanding how they had accomplished this unprecedented neutralization. "We offer no further aggression," Hyun continued, "but we will defend ourselves, always." Each alien representative understood the subtext. Humanity was declaring its place in the galactic community, not as a conquered species, but as an equal, perhaps even a superior force. The technological breakthrough wasn't just about military strategy. It represented a fundamental understanding of interconnected systems that no other civilization had achieved. Humans had turned the Varen's complexity into their ultimate weakness. Outside the council chamber, news was spreading. Colonies that had been under constant threat began breathing easier. The children who had lost parents in previous attacks now saw a different future. Jae Kim, the lead researcher who had developed the initial strategies, watched the proceedings from a secure facility. He wasn't interested in glory. He was already thinking about the next potential threat, the next strategy. As the council session continued, it became clear humanity had changed the rules of galactic engagement forever. They hadn't just survived. They had redefined survival. The stars seemed to shine a little brighter that day, a reminder that in the vast, cold universe, human spirit would always find a way. Humanity had arrived, not with a bang, but with a precise, calculated transformation that would be remembered for generations. Would you like me to make any modifications to this final part of the story?